Alright, hello everybody, I am Cole from TCG Cardcast, and today we're going over my 40 card Dark Magician deck profile. So let's get into that. So first of all, it cannot be a Dark Magician deck if you don't play the big guy himself. 3 copies of Dark Magician. I feel like Dark Magician does not need an explanation, but I'll give one anyways. Dark Magician is a level 7 Dark Spellcaster monster with 2500 attack and 2100 defense. He's your boss monster. He's the key to this entire deck. I mean, it wouldn't be a Dark Magician deck without him. Of course, I'm playing my 3 favorite arts. Next up, probably hands down one of the best Dark Magician cards in the entire game. Apprentice Illusion Magician playing at 3. Another Dark Spellcaster. This entire deck is Dark Spellcasters. A level 6 Spellcaster effect monster with 1700. She can be special summoned from your hand if you just discard a card, which is really nice. And when she's special summoned, and when she's normal or special summoned, you can add its Dark Magician from your deck to your hand, which is amazing. And then during damage calculation, if a Dark Spellcaster you control is attacking, you can send her from your field or hand to the graveyard, and then that monster gains 2000 attack, which is amazing. And that's only during damage calculation, but still, amazing card. Probably the third best, actually probably the 4th best Dark Magician card in the game. Magician of Dark Illusion. This card's just really good. Another level 7 Dark Spellcaster effect monster. This one has 2125. It's the inverse of a Dark Magician. So once per turn, you can special summon this card from your hand if you activate a card effect during your opponent's turn. So if you, for say, activate like Eternal Soul on your opponent's turn, you can summon one of these guys from your hand because you can only special summon one of these once per turn. Like another effect where if you activate a spell, trap card, or effect while this card is face up on the field, none of these can be during damage calculation. You can target a Dark Magician in your graveyard and then you can special summon it, but you can only use each effect once while this card's face up on the field. So that kind of sucks, but its name does become Dark Magician while it's on the field, so it does banish for your Dark Magic Circle when it's summoned. It can be used for your Eye of Timaeus monsters and stuff like that, so that's really cool. He's actually probably my second favorite monster in this entire deck, in all honesty. Probably in all honesty, this card is the best card in this deck. Magician's Rod is a level 3 Dark Spellcaster effect monster with 16100. When it's normal summoned, you can add a spell or trap card that specifically lists Dark Magician, and I'll get into what that means in a bit. And then during your opponent's turn, if you activate a spell or trap card, except during the damage step, you can tribute a spellcaster to add this guy back to your hand, which is really great. You want to play these guys at 3 because you want to draw these guys as often as possible to get all your Dark Magician cards in your hand. It's very essential that you get these guys as fast as you can into your opening hand. Next, I play 3 copies of Magician's Robe. Now, this is a pure Dark Magician deck. You're going to notice that a lot of your Dark Magician decks are playing, they play like maybe spell books or Shaddolls or something like that. My deck is pure Dark Magician except for 1 card. My monsters are all pure Dark Magician archetype cards. Magician's Robe is a Dark level 2 spellcaster effect with 2000. During your opponent's turn, quick effect, you can discard 1 card, and then you can target one spell trap. You can discard a spell trap card and special summon a Dark Magician from your deck, which is really good. So you can set this guy, your opponent attacks into him, and then when he's flipped face up, you can discard to summon a Dark Magician, which is really good. And then if you activate a card effect during your opponent's turn, except during the damage step, you can special summon it from the graveyard. But when it leaves the field next, it gets banished, which sucks, and you can only activate one of its effects per turn. Still an amazing card. It's still one of my favorite cards in this deck. This is actually one of my first Dark Magician archetype cards. So yeah, I do really love this card a lot. I could not bring myself to make this deck without 2 of this card. I am playing 2 Dark Magician Girls. Dark Magician Girl is a Dark level 6 spellcaster effect with 1700. She gains 300 attack for a Dark Magician or Magician of Black Chaos in either player's graveyard. Of course, we're not playing Magician of Black Chaos, that would be foolish. But we are playing 2 copies of her because we are playing 3 copies of Dark Magician. She's just one of my favorite cards in this deck, in all honesty. I get to play my 2 favorite arts, the Magician Girl and the Magician art. So, that's cool. Now, the next card in this deck is a card that you really wouldn't expect to be played. It is a Dark Magician card. However, you'd expect it to be played very little because of how often you would draw it into your opening hand. But I've actually had I actually had 3 games in my last locals where this card actually came out and saved me. I am playing 1 copy of Palladium Oracle Mahad, which is a light level 7 spellcaster effect with 25-21. When you draw this card, you can reveal it, special summon it. And then if it battles a dark monster, its attack is doubled during the damage step. And if it's destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon a Dark Magician from your hand, deck, or graveyard. You can get a Dark Magician from anywhere with this guy. You can special summon him when he's drawn. He's discard fodder for your apprentice. He's just an amazing overall card. Most people don't see the real purpose of this guy, but I do. I play 1 of him because, again, you do draw him in your opening hand a little more frequently than you'd hope, but whenever you do, there's always a use for him, and he has saved my ass a ton of times, so I'm playing 1 of him. Another discard card, but another good 1900 attack point monster is Skilled Dark Magician. I am only playing 1 of him. Level 4 Dark Spellcaster effect with 19-17. Each time a spell is activated, place 1 spell counter on this card. This deck is very spell heavy. And then you can tribute it with 3 spell counters, special summon a Dark Magician from your hand, deck, graveyard. Again, get a Dark Magician from anywhere. 1900 attack, level 4. He's just good. And he's a dark, so he's a discard, or he's a banished target for Allure Darkness. The final monster in this deck is an oddball, but I do love it. It is Breaker the Magical Warrior. This card is really good because it can target a spell card. It can target a spell trap card your opponent controls and pop it, which is great. It has 1900 attack if you don't do that. It's a dark level 4 spellcaster effect with 1600, 1000. When this card is normal summon, place 1 spell counter on it, maximum 1. This card gains 30 attack for each spell counter on it. You can remove 1 spell counter from this card, target 1 spell trap card on the field, destroy the target. So this card is very useful for popping field spells, continuous spells. If your opponent has an aroma jar on the field, this guy comes out, bam, gone. It's done. And I do love playing him in Ultra Rare. And he does look like a Dark Magician, in all honesty. So that's my defense. So on to the spell cards. This deck obviously has to be played with 3 Dark Magic Circles. It's a continuous spell card. When this card is activated, look at the top 3 cards of your deck. Then you can reveal 1 Dark Magician or 1 Spell Trap card that specifically lists the card Dark Magician in its text. If you keep asking why I do that, because again, I'm going to have to get into that in a minute. In its text among them and add it to your hand. Also, place the remaining cards on the top of your deck in any order. If Dark Magician is normal or special summoned to your side of the field, except during the damage step, you can target 1 card your opponent controls, banish it. You can only use each effect of a Dark Magic Circle once per turn. So you can't play 1 Dark Magic Circle and then play another one and get to search top 3. You don't get to banish more than once with Dark Magic Circle. That's just how it works. But it's a really good card. It is one of your other key cards in this deck, so yeah. Next up, we're playing 3 copies of Thousand Knives. This deck does not play any Kaijus, but this is the closest thing we get to Kaijus, which is instant monster removal. If you control Dark Magician, target 1 monster your opponent controls, destroy that target. This card is searchable by Magician's Rod, Eternal Soul, and it just works as long as you have a Dark Magician. And seeing as we have three, there are 3 different cards in this deck that all count as Dark Magician while on the field, and we're playing 2 of them in triplicate, so yeah, it's pretty clear why we're playing 3 of this guy. It is just a really powerful card. Now here's the card where I had to do the quotation marks for, the Eye of Timaeus. So this card is also treated as Legendary Dragon Timaeus. Target 1 Dark Magician monster you control. Fusion summon 1 fusion monster from your extra deck that lists that monster on the field as fusion material. Using it as the fusion material, you can only activate 1 of the Eye of Timaeus per turn. Now, I would like to specify, this card says Dark Magician monster, not Dark Magician. This card is not searchable via Eye of Timaeus or Dark Magic Circle or any other cards that search Dark Magician spells or traps. Because it says Dark Magician monster is the modifier, which means you cannot search it with for cards that say lists Dark Magician. It has to say Dark Magician monster. If you want to understand that a little more, DP Yu-Gi-Oh has a video on that. You guys should go check him out. He's really funny. But this card is, again, your key. I'm only playing 1 of these cards because, again, it's not... I mean, I should play 2 because it isn't searchable. It is hard to come across. But in all honesty, this deck is not very extra deck reliant. If you do get this card, obviously you're going to go for 1 card in particular. But, yeah, this is your key to the extra deck. 1 Dark Magic Veil. Pay 1,000 life points, special summon a Dark Magician from your... Sorry. Pay 1,000 life points, special summon one Dark Spellcaster type monster from your hand or graveyard. I'm flubbing my words all over the place today. This card is just really good. Pay 1,000 to get a Dark Magician from your hand or graveyard, or anything, or any other Dark Spellcaster for that matter. It's actually a pretty decent price. It's like a soul charge, but it's not coming. You don't get multiple choices, and it only comes and it can come from your hand or graveyard. So, in all honesty, playing this over soul charge is a really smart idea, in my book. And yeah. Here we are into the board lock. So this deck does specialize in a board lock technique, which this card plays a big role in. We're playing 2 copies of Secret Village of the Spellcasters, which is a field spell. If you control a spellcaster type monster and your opponent does not, your opponent cannot activate spell cards. If you control those spellcaster type monsters, you cannot activate spell cards. This card is very, very important for a board lock that I'm actually going to show off at the end of the video. This is my deck, and I do actually really love pulling off this board lock. I know it's not fun for a lot of people, but it gets the wins, it gives the dubs, gives out the L's, and I love it. Next up, again, I'm a budget player at heart, so I can't afford things like Ash. So I do play Ash Protection. I play 2 Called by the Graves in this deck. Called by the Graves is a quick play spell. Target 1 monster in your opponent's graveyard, banish it, and if you do, until the end of the next turn, its effects are negated, as well as the activated effects of the effects on the field of monsters with the same original name. So that, guys, is pretty much like when your opponent discards Ash, you banish it, and then its effects get negated. So it can't negate your search, can't negate your special summon. It's pretty much just the best thing. If you can't afford an Ash or a Ghost or whatever, get some of these. They're very cheap, and they are very, very essential for side decking. I do not side deck because I have issues where I just don't like to side deck. So I keep these in my main deck. Here's another board lock card. We have Magician's Left Hand, which is a continuous spell card. Negate the effect of your opponent's first trap card or effect that resolves each turn while you control a spellcaster type monster, and if you do, destroy that card. So this card's really good. It only negates. It's weird how it's phrased. I didn't really understand how it's phrased until I looked it up. It does only negate the first trap card or trap card's effect. It should have been phrased differently, in my opinion, but this card does help lock down boards a lot. Next up, we have Allure of Darkness. Draw 2 cards, then banish 1 dark monster from your hand, or if you do not have any in your hand, send your entire hand to the graveyard. So your main strategy for this is the cards you're looking to banish with this card's effect are your Skilled Dark Magician, your Breaker, or your 3 Robes. You can also use your Dark Magician Girls as banish. Just anything that isn't important, and this deck has a lot of things that aren't really important, but essentially those are your Allure of Darkness tributes. You could play, my favorite combination for this card is you play Dark Magic Circle, reveal your top 3 so you know what you're getting, organize it so that one of your Dark Spellcasters you don't want is on top, and then play it so you get to draw 2 cards, and you get to banish one of the ones you didn't want. Pretty cool. And the final card is Summoner's Art in the spell cards. Add 1 level 5 or higher normal monster from your deck to your hand. That's just plain good. If you don't draw into any of your Dark Magician search cards, you just want to play this. It's pretty important. And very good for searching. I used to play it at 2, but now I only played it 1. Next up here, this is into the trap cards. One of the final 2 key cards of this deck, Eternal Soul. You want to play this card at 3. It's a continuous spell card, or continuous trap card. Every Dark Magician in your monster zone is unaffected by your opponent's card effects. If this face-up card leaves the field, destroy all monsters you control. You can only use the following effects of Eternal Soul once per turn. You can activate one of these effects. Special summon 1 Dark Magician from your hand to graveyard, or add a Dark Magic Attack or 1,000 Knives from your deck to your hand. This deck used to play Dark Magic Attack. If there was a side deck, I'm sure I would put it in there. But this card is just really important. You can search this card out with your Circle or your Rod. But again, this is one of your main cards you want to throw on the board to make sure your Dark Magicians are unaffected, and they keep getting brought back. This card is just very essential for the board lock that I was talking about earlier, which I will show off in just a minute. One of the final 2 trap cards is Magician's Navigation. Special summon 1 Dark Magician from your hand, then special summon 1 level 7 or lower Dark Spellcaster from your deck. If you control Dark Magician, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target 1 face-up card on the field. It has its effects negated, and your opponent has to control the card. Really good. I love this card a lot. This is usually the first card I'll go for Magician's Rod if I have a Dark Magician in my hand, just because this card gets them out so fast. You can go one Dark Magician and then another Dark Magician. It's just crazy good. I love this card a lot. Final card, we're not playing a Terraforming, instead we're playing a Metaverse, and this card is and we're playing a Metaverse instead of a Terraforming because Metaverse can trigger Magician of Dark Illusion's effect to special summon, which is why we're playing this instead. Yes, it's slower, but it does get out more card effect, which is good. Take one field spell from your deck and either activate it or add it to your hand. That's pretty clear. You're going for your Secret Village of the Spellcasters. Onto the extra deck, we're playing one Dark Paladin. I'm pretty much playing one of every card I could into this deck at the moment. The extra deck is not complete. I'm missing a couple Link monsters that are in the OCG. Dark Paladin is a level 8 Dark Spellcaster fusion effect that requires Dark Magician or Buster Blader, but you can use P.s to make him. Must be fusion summoned. It cannot be special summoned other ways. During either player's turn, when a spell card is activated, you can discard one card, negate the activation. If you do, destroy it. This card must be face up on the field to activate and to resolve this effect. This card gains 500 attack for each dragon-type monster on the field or in either player's graveyard. And it has 29, 24. So pretty good, pretty powerful. Love it. Dark Magician Girl, the Dragon Knight, level 7. Dark Fusion effect. Dark Magician Girl plus Dragon Monster. Fusion summoned, must be fusion summoned or special summoned with the Eye of Timaeus. Once per turn, quick effect, you can send one card from your hand to the graveyard, then target one face-up card on the field. Destroy that target. Pretty good, 26, 17, real powerful. Amulet Dragon, level 8 Dark Dragon Fusion effect. Dark Magician plus a Dragon-type monster. Fusion summoned or using Eye of Timaeus. If this card is special summoned, target any number of spell cards in any graveyard. Banish those targets, and if you do, this card gains 100 attack for each card banished by this effect. If this card is destroyed, you can target one spellcaster monster in your graveyard. Special summon it. If this card is destroyed, just get out your Dark Magicians. It gets 2,900 attack, 2,500 defense. It's pretty good. However, they all pale in comparison to your main extra deck card, your Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight, which is a Dark level 8 Dragon Fusion effect that requires Dark Magician and a Dragon monster. This card's name becomes Dark Magician while in the field or in the graveyard, so this card can actually give points to Dark Magician Girl. It can also activate Dark Magic Circle's effect to banish. Your opponent cannot target spells and traps you control with card effects. Also, they cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. So if you have this guy on the field with your Eternal Soul, your Dark Magic Circle, blah, 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 this card becomes a real heavy hitter. If you have another spellcaster on the field, your Secret Village cannot be touched. Magician's left hand. That's the combo right there. It's Easel, it's this thing, a Dark Magician, Easel, Circle, left hand, and Village. They just can't do anything about it. It's great. This has 3,000 attack, 2,500 defense. Pretty great. On to the Xyz monsters. Ebonheim Magician requires 2 level 7 Dark Spellcasters. It's a rank 7 Dark Spellcaster with 23, 28. You can activate quick play spells. While it has Xyz material, you can activate quick play spells or trap cards from your hand during your opponent's turn by detaching an Xyz material. And then if this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, or if this card is Xyz summoned, you control is sent to the graveyard by an opponent's card effect, you can special summon a Dark Spellcaster from your hand or deck. Then you can destroy one card in the field, which is pretty great. It's pretty much a magical dimension, I think is what it's called. So it's pretty good. Ebon Illusion Magician. You can also Xyz summon this card with rank 6 spellcaster type monsters, which we do have in this deck. Another rank 7 Dark Spellcaster with 25, 21. And this monster also becomes Xyz, or sorry, the levels. I'm losing my. Hang on. Let's start this one over. 2 level 7 monsters. You can also Xyz summon this card by using rank 6 monsters, and then those materials become its materials. Once per turn, you can attach an Xyz material from this card. Special summon one spellcaster normal monster from your hand or deck. This is for your Dark Magicians, obviously. When a spellcaster type normal monster declares an attack, you can target one card your opponent controls and banish it, which is amazing. And you can only use each effect once per turn. It's a crazy card. I love it to bits. It's amazing. Naruto, the Moral Leader. She's a rank 6 light spellcaster Xyz effect with 27 2000. Once per turn during either player's turn, when your opponent activates a spell card, you can detach one Xyz material from this card. Negate the activation if you destroy it. This is another negating card, and it does require 2 level 6s, which can be your Dark Magician Girls or your Apprentices. And this card can be used to make Ebon Illusion. Number 11, the Big I, Dark Spellcaster, rank 7, 2 level 7 monsters. Once per turn, you can detach one material from this card, then target one monster your opponent controls. Take control of that monster, never comes back to them. This card cannot attack the turn this effect is activated. 26 2000, really good. Final extra deck card, Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon. It's a dark level 7. Dragon exceeds effect with that requires 2 level 7s. Cannot be destroyed by card effects while it has exceed material. While this card has exceed material, each time your opponent activates a card effect, inflict 500 damage to your opponent immediately after it resolves. And then it's got an effect for Red Eyes monsters, but we're not playing any Red Eyes monsters. It has 28, 24. Really good. As I said, this deck does not have links in it yet. I do plan on putting links in it. But for now, that's the deck. It plays pretty well. I win about 75% of the games I play with it. It's more of a fun deck overall. It's not really too competitive, but when I do need it to be competitive, it does pull some pretty good plays. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to see more deck profiles like this, make sure you hit the deck profile playlist over here in the corner. Make sure you click the subscribe button in the center of the screen, and we will see you guys later. Make sure to comment if you want more Yu-Gi-Oh content like this, and see you next time. Peace out.